Hello and welcome back to the Honour Respect and another edition of Smackdown Out of 10. It's a big episode today because of course it is the last TV show before we get to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So there's a lot going on, and of course it's mainly pay-per-view hype, and that's what we started things off with the usual array of shots of superstars arriving at the arena before Seth Rollins and his group made their way to the ring. Rollins not only claimed he will win Money in the Bank, but he also warned anyone who wants to stand in his way of what will happen. When he said nobody could stop him, the bloodline showed up. The two groups squared off in the ring as Rollins as a co traded words. It looked like it might turn to fight, but Rollins called his boys back and he left without incident. The first half of the segment was average, but the second half came out with some interesting possibilities, including Sikoa v Breaker and Rollins Fatu. That should be great additions to the card, so good stuff. Jimmy Uso then attacked Solo's crew from behind as Seth and company were leaving, so when we returned from break we saw Uso fighting Mateo in the match. Big Jim had the upper hand and was controlling the pace at first, but Powerhouse eventually turned the tide in his favour. Uso regained control for a moment, but a drop kick from Mateo sent him falling from the top turnbuckle to the floor as we went to another break. Sikoa kept trying to talk Jimmy into joining him throughout the match, but Uso had no interest in hearing him. He began to make a comeback, but scored a 2 count with a whisper in the wind. The match had a handful of fun spots and moments, but it felt like it was lacking the intensity needed. Uso ended up winning a roll-up after Mateo crashed into Fatu on the apron. Fatu and Mateo have issues going on, so that will lead to a fun match, and it feels like a breakup is inevitable on top of a decent match here, with Uso getting a big win. So 6 out of 10. Before we got Zelina Vega taking on Piper Niven in a Bakersfield brawl, but the US title wasn't on the line. Niven obviously had a far advantage, so she easily shoved the champ to the mat a few times to assert her dominance. Vega grabbed the kendo stick from under the ring to even the odds a bit. After a break, Niven used a chain to inflict some punishment. She tried to use a steel chair, but Vega ended up being the one to hit a DDT into steel. Vega hit Code Red from the top rope, but Alba Fire and Chelsea Green prevented her from getting the win. This set up a table at the ring, but Julia distracted Niven when she attacked Green and Fire. She helped Vega powerbomb her through a table to get the win. While these two have proved they can complement each other's styles well, it feels like we need to move on for the feud. It's the third match they've had, and Vega kind of needs new competitions. The appearance of Julia had a little fun, and I think that could be a good new next challenger, so hopefully positive signs there. 6 out of 10. Moving on then to LA Knight, who was out after the break to give a promo about Money in the Bank. He spoke about each competitor in the match and also mentioned Aleister Black, who had just had a video package about him being upset that Knight stole the win last week. That led to a match after the break, and both men scored near falls early, but an attempted back mass called Knight to back off and reset. They did a good job making this feel like a tense fight, while keeping the action technical. They used strikes sparingly and focused on a lot of takedowns and counters. This was a fun and physical encounter that made both guys look strong competitors. Sadly, it ended in controversy when Rollins hit Knight with a stomp out of nowhere to cause a DQ. He lined up for a second, but Black actually stopped and turned around just in time for Breaker to spear him out of his boots. Reed and Breaker took hit moves on Knight and Rollins and called the shot. So I really enjoyed this. It was a fun match and liked the stuff afterwards too. So 7 out of 10 as Tiffany Stratton came to the ring and talked about being ready for the winner of the Women's Money in the Bank. This led to a 6-women tag match that was advertised on the show. Vaquer and Julia, former allies on opposite side, with Vaquer team of Ripley and Bliss, and Perez, Julia and Naomi the other team. And they were the first two to lock up. We eventually got a spot where all three faces and all three heels grounded at the same time. This match was the usual passion. Everyone got to spend some time in the ring, but it didn't feel like they outstayed their welcome. All 6 of the women earned their spots in the Money in the Bank match, so it had zero impact on the show. All 6 competitors did a good job when it was their 10th fight. It's a preview of what we can expect on Saturday rather than the fun we should be in for at Money in the Bank. Naomi ended up leaving Perez high and dry when she reached for a tag. This allowed Ripley, Vaquer and Bliss to take the wins until the Eradicator scored the win. 6 out of 10. I think, it's basically just building up to that bit at the end. Makes sense for the heels to do it. So 6 out of 10. The tag division was then shown discussing the problem with the Wyatts backstage when Fraxton said they would take on the Wyatts since they were unbeaten on SmackDown. TI was more than happy to let them do it, and after a break, Penta and Andrade team up to take on the Creeds after they had a confrontation backstage during the show. Gable accompanied his team to win, and Penta and Andrade took them out with dives over the top rope before they even got to the ring. Once the Creeds recovered, they started to seat Paxton and throwing their opponents all over the ring. Gable interfered and tried to rip off Penta's mask, which led to Vikingo attacking him and fighting him into the crowd. Penta and Andrade worked together to get the win in the end. The list was a lot of fun. All 4 guys looked great. Rollins and his crew came out after the match was over. They attacking both men, softening them up before Money in the Bank, and Penta got the worst of it. So I think Rollins heel really getting them over, and a really fun match at the top. So 7 out of 10. And then we got Heyman giving a promo declaring Rollins would win Money in the Bank as Cody Rhodes music here. As Jey Uso came through the crowd, Rollins and his cronies left the ring so the final segment could get going. Paul ended up attacking Jey while he was distracted, allowing Cena to hit Rhodes with an AA. The show ended with Cena and Paul giving a quick promo before taking out Uso and Rhodes with their finishes again. The crowd chants for R-Truth and Cena mocked them for it. But really good end to the show. Really having the heels standing tall. And great line from Cena again. So on the whole, I really enjoyed this. And Good way to end the show. And this week's SmackDown had a lot of time to hype the Money in the Bank. The women's division got a lot of time. And yeah, Penta and Andrade and the Creed probably had the best performance of the night. Everyone looked great. Rollins is definitely being positioned as the most likely winner of Money in the Bank. And I think that makes sense. So yeah, on the whole, I haven't got many complaints for this week's show. It gets 6 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.